Shikhar Aggarwal, Joint MD, BLS International and Chairman of BLS E Services is with us on the show now. Shikhar, great to have you on. Welcome to NDTV Profit. Thank you for taking the time to speak with us. Let me just begin by talking a bit about the latest news flow that has come in. One is the listing or the proposed listing of your subsidiary, BLS E Services. Tell us what this subsidiary does, which is very different from BLS International.
Correct. So as you know, first of all, BLS International, which is in the business of visa, passport and consular services, we are present in 64 countries and we work with more than 40 client governments across the globe. 5 years back, we started another business, which is primarily within India to process, citizen services for the citizens in different parts of India, and also to provide banking correspondent services. With primarily, we started with the State Bank of India, and now we are working with a lot of PSUs, and we also work with a lot of private sector banks, and we are the largest banking correspondent partner in India. In BLS E Services, we have a network of 40,000 branches within India now. Last year, itself, the revenue and profitability that we achieved, there was 150% year-on-year growth compared to last year. So there has been a massive growth in BLS E Services. We've also acquired two companies in BLS E Services called Zero Mass and Starfin in the last few years. So now, with that aim in mind, we thought it is a right time for listing the company. With that in mind, we had filed for an DRHP with SEBI. We've got prima facie approvals, and obviously, we need to file more papers. And as when final approval comes in, we will be filing for the IPO. Our objective is to get money into the company. There is no dilution from any other side. So money will be raised within the company. As and when money comes, that will be used for further investments into new tenders that we are working on in technology and also acquisition.
What is the amount that you are hoping to raise?
So right now, around 2.5 crore shares, 2.6 crores, I think, are going to be, offered. Money will come into the company. The final value is still being, analyzed by the merchant bankers. As and when that is found out, we will let you know.
Okay, so just coming back to my question again, because I just want a more precise answer. What is E-Services doing differently from BLS International, which is anyway getting most of its revenue, I think 80% of its revenue or maybe more from digital services? What will E-Services or what is E-Services doing differently?
Correct. So see, as you know, BLS International, where we did a revenue of around 1,500 crores last year and 200 crores of profits. In the last quarter itself, in the second quarter of this year, we did a revenue of around 400 crores and a profit of more than 82 crore, which was a growth of more than 60-70% at the profitability level compared to similar quarter last year. So in E-Services, the business that we do is primarily pan-India, wherein we work with different states for providing e-governance services and different banks for providing banking correspondent services. Whereas in the visa business, visa passport business, we primarily work across the globe with different governments, where we work for the Indian government in many countries. We work for a lot of European governments, a lot of other governments across the globe for visa, passport and consular services.
So out of this 1,500 crores, how much was coming from E-Services?
Around 20-odd%, around 350 crores was coming from E-Services. That is also growing year on year. And the rest was coming from visa, passport and consular services, which is BLS International.
Okay. I want to now just get a sense of the growth opportunity in the business. Do you see global travel taking off to that extent? Where are the tranches of growth coming from in the Indian context and in the Indian travelers context?
See, if you talk about growth, if you see the second quarter numbers and the first quarter numbers that we have done already, which is we've done in the H1 of this year, we've done more than 150 crores of profit, whereas the entire last year we did around 200 crores of profit. So already we have grown compared to last year. If you talk about the volume that we are currently doing, we are still not fully back to pre-COVID level, because certain key geographies for us like Russia and China have not fully come back to normal because of different issues in each country. China is poised to become, pre-COVID soon, and Russia, there is still some time when the numbers should come back. So our revenue has increased per application. On top of that, if you see the kind of contracts that we have won in the last 1.5 years, we have won 6 new contracts with the Italian government. We have won many contracts, 4 contracts with the Hungary government, with the Polish government, with the Portuguese government, and on top of that, we've also, there was a retender for the Spanish global visa outsourcing contract, and we again won that in April with added new categories of visas, at a higher service charge. And now on top of that, we have also renewed and again won our contract for the Indian government in Canada, wherein now we will be opening 12 offices compared to 9 offices before in Canada, and providing processing of different categories of applications. So definitely there has been a good amount of growth in BLS in terms of new contracts that we have won, in terms of revenue per application that has increased, and also the key geographies like from India, definitely we are back at pre-COVID level, and not only that, we are seeing a very big traction, increase in demand, volume from the customers traveling outbound from India. It's become the new normal. So in the next few years, we've launched new offices in Delhi. We have tripled our capacity. The center that we launched in Delhi has a capacity to handle 1,000 applications a day. So we are really ramping up our capacity globally to be ready for the future.
Can you give us a sense of market share? And is VFS, for example, a competitor for anyone who wants to travel abroad and wants these services? What is the kind of market share you enjoy right now?
So right now, BLS International over the years has grown to around 14 to 15% of the global visa outsourcing market share. Okay. Definitely, there are major players, we are competing with. We are the only Indian homegrown player in this industry, competing on a global scale, working with a lot of foreign governments. If you see our growth trajectory in the last 1.5 years, we have won a lot of new contracts with the European governments. In the next few years, there are many new tenders that are coming up for renewal with different European governments, with different other governments that we are eligible for. We already have a market reach now in 64 countries and growing. So we are poised to take certain market share from those contracts. We are poised to increase revenue from our existing contracts that we have re-won. And then on top of that, we have ample cash on the books that we are looking for investments into M&A opportunities. There are some regional players that we are looking at in both in visa and e-governance segment.
What is the market share in India?
Market share for BLS International. So we currently in India work for a couple of foreign governments like Spain government. We recently won a contract for the Slovakia government, which is a Schengen government globally. We work for the Morocco, Thailand, and a couple of more countries within India.
All right. So then what's the market share then?
Market share right now, I think would be the same, 10, 12% or 15%.
Okay. And just to understand, is there an element of exclusivity here? So when you say that you work for the government of Thailand, if I want to go to Thailand, which is a very easy visa process, I have to come only to BLS? Do you get money from that?
Most of the governments work on an exclusive basis. Like for the Spanish government, exclusively they've outsourced to us. Slovakia has outsourced. All the other governments outsource exclusively, but the Thai government works on multi-player model, and they have given work to more than one player.
All right, just last question before we wrap up, Mr. Aggarwal. What is your sort of growth forecast that you can give us and margin forecast that you can give us?
See, if you see in the last quarter, the EBITDA margin that we've achieved is already upwards of 20%, whereas last year we were doing a EBITDA margin of 15 to 16%. So already there has been a major increase because our costs have become rationalized. We have got increase in revenue per application. So definitely we have achieved a higher margin. Our objective is obviously to increase margin year on year. We wish to maintain the numbers that we have achieved in the first few quarters. We wish to maintain that. But definitely, as geographies open up, for which have still, not fully opened up, we will see increase in volume from our existing contracts. New categories of visas have been added in our existing contracts. There are multiple new tenders that we have won, that we have already deployed, and more opportunity for new tenders. So we see good growth opportunity in the coming years for the company.
Well, absolutely. Thank you so much. Mr. Aggarwal, for joining in and explaining to us what BLS International's entire story is about. The stock has seen a lot of interest recently, and especially because if you want to tap into that increase of Indians traveling abroad globally, it's the only Indian-based company which is doing global consular services, then BLS is an option for you, obviously with all the due diligence required if you want to make an investment. So thank you, Mr. Aggarwal, for speaking with us.